So, who was Phinehas, and what is this unusual story about him in Numbers chapter 25? First, some background points. Point number 1. Phinehas was the grandson of Aaron, who was Moses' brother. Aaron was the high priest, which was the most senior religious position in Israel. When Aaron died in Numbers 20 verse 28, his son Eleazar became high priest. Eleazar's son Phinehas was next in line to become high priest after his father. Point number 2. What is the tent of meeting? The tent of meeting was the house of God. It was where God lived. It was where the Israelites worshipped God. Exodus 25 verse 8 says, "Then have them make a sanctuary for me, and I will dwell among them." In Exodus 29:44-46, God says, "So I will consecrate the tent of meeting and the altar, and will consecrate Aaron and his sons to serve me as priests. Then I will dwell among the Israelites and be their God. They will know that I am the Lord their God, who brought them out of Egypt so that I might dwell among them. I am the Lord their God." So, we can see that the tent of meeting was a very important place, a sacred, holy place, the centre of religious worship. The Israelites, that's about 2 million people, camped around the tent of meeting. Point number 3. Phinehas had a very important position. 1 Chronicles 9 verse 20 says that, "In earlier times, Phinehas, son of Eleazar, was in charge of the gatekeepers, and the Lord was with him." Verse 19 says the gatekeepers were responsible for guarding the thresholds of the tent, the entrance to the dwelling of the Lord. Verse 27 says, "They would spend the night stationed around the house of God because they had to guard it." Point number 4. Only the Levites were allowed to enter the tent of meeting, and only Moses, Aaron and his sons were allowed to enter its innermost sections, called the Holy Place and the Most Holy Place. Numbers 3:10, 3:38 and 18:7 say that anyone else who approaches the sanctuary must be put to death. So the rest of the Israelites would have known that to enter the tent of meeting was absolutely forbidden and was punishable by the death penalty. So now let's turn to Numbers 25. Verse 6 says, "Then an Israelite man brought into the camp a Midianite woman right before the eyes of Moses and the whole assembly of Israel, while they were weeping at the entrance to the tent of meeting." Picture the scene. The whole assembly of Israel, a very important meeting of Israel's leaders, is at the entrance to God's house. They were weeping, perhaps because of the Israelites' sin of worshipping the Baal of Peor. The Moabites and Midianites worshipped Baal and enticed the Israelites to worship Baal as well. Then an Israelite man brought a Midianite woman. Is it possible that he took her into the tent of meeting? Some commentators say that he took her into his family's tent. But what if the tent, mentioned in verse 8, was actually the tent of meeting? Verse 7 and 8 say, "When Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, saw this, he left the assembly, took a spear in his hand, and followed the Israelite into the tent." If they went into the tent of meeting, this would explain why Phinehas had to carry out the death penalty. Phinehas was next in line to become high priest after his father, and was also the chief gatekeeper, responsible for guarding God's house from unauthorized intruders. Perhaps the Israelite man, named Zimri in verse 14, and the Midianite woman, named Cosbi in verse 15, entered the tent of meeting to perform a sordid act of worship to Baal, as had happened in verse 3. But entering the tent of meeting was a heinous crime, and Phinehas immediately carried out the punishment and put Zimri and Cosbi to death. Verse 13 says that the action by Phinehas made atonement for the Israelites. Immediately after Phinehas's action, verse 8 tells us that the plague against the Israelites was stopped. Let's look at this further next time.